It's time now for business, and for that I'm joined in the studio by Stephen Carroll. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Haxie.
We're starting in the United States, where there's a new sheriff in town for big tech companies.
President Biden has appointed Lina Khan as the new head of the competition and consumer watchdog, the Federal Trade Commission. The 32-year-old is a Columbia Law School professor and renowned competition law scholar. She previously advised congressional investigations into big tech companies and is known as a fierce critic of Amazon in particular. In a statement, Khan said she looked forward to upholding the mission of the FTC in safeguarding fair competition and protecting consumers, workers and honest businesses from unfair and deceptive practices. She was confirmed by the US Senate on Tuesday as a member of the FTC's board, but elevated to its chair by the White House. Her appointment has been welcomed by consumer advocates, but described as disheartening by one tech industry group. Now, the FTC is already investigating Amazon and has filed an antitrust complaint against Facebook last year, accusing the social media giant of buying up or freezing out small startups to choke competition.
Well, staying in the United States, and a federal judge has cleared the way for more oil and gas licenses to be sold.
That's against the wishes of the White House. Joe Biden had suspended issuing new permits to explore for fossil fuels in January of this year. But a Louisiana court granted 13 states, including Texas and Alaska, a preliminary injunction which allows them to continue selling leases while the court continues to hear arguments in this case. The so-called pause was part of President Biden's push for greater use of clean energy in the US.
And Stephen, a new report's been looking at how domestic workers have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
The International Labour Organization says that domestic workers lost their jobs in greater numbers than the rest of the workforce over the past year. That's a particular concern because 8 in 10 of these workers are employed informally and thus don't have the same legal or welfare protections as others. There are at least 75 million people that fall into this category around the world, according to the ILO. Its report says that in the 13 countries that they studied, working hours for domestic workers were cut in half on average. In Latin America and the Caribbean, between 25 and 50% of jobs in this sector were lost. In Europe, Canada and South Africa, it was between 5 and 20% of jobs lost. The ILO is calling on countries to take steps to formalise the employment of domestic workers to ensure that they're better protected.
In England, the theatre industry has been reacting to news of that delay to lifting COVID-19 restrictions.
Many in the industry expressing their disappointment that the next stage of easing of restrictions, which is due to happen next week, has been pushed back to July 19th. They've either been closed or operating with limited capacity since last year. Marius Sofas has more.
It's an industry that employs around 300,000 people across the UK, while London's West End alone brought in nearly €930 million in 2019. In 2020, however, ticket sales at UK theatres dropped by 93% due to the pandemic closures. While some theatres reopened in May with small productions and a 50% capacity, the full reopening has been delayed once again, from June the 21st to July 19th. It's devastating for the industry.
A 4-week delay to the theatre world is, pretty much disastrous for a lot of people. Up until now, we'd all been led to believe, obviously, that June the 21st was going ahead.
For large, expensive shows such as major West End musicals, social distancing is not financially sustainable, with most of them having planned for fall summer reopenings.
In some regards, the business side of it is very delicate. Everything is in the balance there. And I would say that that's true across the board. It's not just ourselves, that's the entire West End.
A cultural recovery fund provided by the UK government went largely to the non-profit sector, leaving large-scale commercial productions without funds or insurance. The theatre and music industries have lobbied for a government-backed insurance programme in case live events have to be cancelled due to the pandemic. So far, to no avail.
Quick look at what's happening for you on the markets next, and falls across many of the main Asian share indices today. The Hang Seng and the Nikkei both down by about 0.5%, Shanghai down 1.5%, but the Kospi in Seoul is up, actually hitting a record high in trading today.
And finally from you, philanthropist Mackenzie Scott has given away yet more of her cash.
$2.7 billion she's donating to almost 300 different organisations. Mackenzie Scott says she's increasingly troubled by rising wealth inequality, something that has been exacerbated by the pandemic. It's her third major round of gifts. She's the ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. She estimates to be worth around $60 billion by Forbes.
Similar to our collective net worth. Right,
Indeed.
Stephen?
Well, exactly. Aren't we well known for it?
Thank you very much, Stephen Carroll, the look through the day's top business stories.